Hey everybody, Pierre Marquette 1223 here with a video update on the progress of the Air Pilot. This is also my first video in nearly 2 weeks. It's been my longest. That's been my longest video drought, I think, since I think I've been on YouTube, which has nearly been a year. Really hasn't been much going on because, like I said, now we actually have been able to stop buying lanterns for now, even though some very weird stuff has been popping up. But anyway, I'm gonna get to it. Well, if you look at it, the Air Pilot looks like it's missing some stuff. It's not. When I took the thing down to get sandblasted, I figured out how to disassemble the whole lantern to where it was just nothing but frame. And that's what it is right now. Now it seems like it's white, but the metal's been sandblasted so much that it really doesn't have a shine to it. But we're not going to have to worry about that because the metal's not going to be left bare. If you look at it, all the paint is off of it. It came off really good. No holes developed in this lantern. All the solder held up, everything like that. Unlike the other two, unlike the Buckeye Dash, which I think which I'm considering painting too. Now, some paint did get left in some spots, like right here in the corners and everything. But that's okay. I have no problems with that because it's all going to get covered up. And if you look right in there, if you can tell, there is some blue still showing underneath there. So, bottom held up. And bottom held up. Nothing wrong there. That's just some spots in the metal there that didn't totally come off. Now and you can see too, it's got this kind of rust color to it. It's not rust right there. It's not rust. It's just the color of the metal from the heat, from it getting burned, from the lantern getting burned. I couldn't take the handle apart because if I did, I would have to bust off these brass bearings so the handle remained on. And as you can see, it still turns pretty well. You can still see Bureau of Street Traffic very clearly. Got the air tubes all blasted out. The tank is free of sand before I did this, so. But you're probably wondering somewhat about the other parts. And I probably will roughly show you how this lantern kind of goes together and comes apart also. So, well, I guess I'll set this back down here. This lantern will be getting, the whole lantern will be getting primed so that it has like a metallic look, so it has a metal look to it. And like I said, the parts that are supposed to be painted will be painted yellow to mimic. I've seen Little Giants and other models look yellow and they look good. And I think the yellow would go good down there, down in my collection, because I really don't have too many yellow lanterns. Now I'll get to one of the parts that I had to do some work on. Here's the lid, or the crown, so to speak. I got the little pole handle loop off, so that one day I could take and hammer out. Because if you notice, this is the original crown, and all the dents are gone. I took that little pull tab off, and took a hammer, actually a tack hammer to be exact, and took the small end and just pounded all the dents out of it flat, and all the dents eventually came off. You can see too, it still has a rusty look over here to it. Well, maybe it does have some rust still to it, but it otherwise came undone very well. I mean, like I said, that's just the reason it's like that is because of the fact that all the heat's just subjected the metal to torture. But there's tabs that hold the pole loop down. The pole loop was actually loose when I had the lantern. It was nearly going to come out, so when I put that pull tab back in, I put it in extra tight, or very, very flat, those tabs, then nothing would come apart. Now the crown is attached to this. This is the lift mechanism on the lantern, or at least part of it. This thing sits inside the frame. I'll show you here a little bit, but this spring is tucked underneath the ledge on top of the lantern, and then it sits in there. Whenever you push it, the spring, as you can see, springs the lift, and that's what keeps the glow ball locked in place. Now when I pulled this thing out, this thing was rustier beyond rusty. I mean, this was just nothing but black and brown and gold from all the metal being so oxidized. But this part actually came clean extremely well. The spring was off. The spring, actually, you can twist the spring off and it will come apart. There are tabs in here to take this little cone portion off. It looks like it does come apart, but I'm not quite sure how that works. But I mean, I'm not going to figure out, because I was lucky when I took this thing apart that I didn't break anything. Because I usually end up breaking this kind of stuff. So, alright, now I'm going to get to the next part. I'll get to the low portion here. I'll start with the burner. As you remember, if you remember, the burner was painted. And here's the burner now. Still works just as good. I mean, usually it's really good if I can spin it. I like it when to spin them. That means they're still really good. You can still see, Dietz made in USA here on the bottom. I'm gonna get a new wick for this because the old wick was kind of messed up. For some reason, will not slide in and out of there really well anymore. So, had a little sand inside of it, but I got most of that sand out of it. So, oh, that's smooth. Drop the burner. Why don't I break it? No, I didn't break it. Next, I want to get to the globe holder, which also has the cone attached to it. When you had the rising cone style burner, you had the cones attached to the globe holder. Here's that. This was, I really couldn't tell if it was painted or if it was just plain dirty metal, but this came out really good. Like I told you too, I didn't show you, but before the wires were all bent out of whack, I bent the wires back into place. So they look all good now. It's attached by 3 small tabs here, and I'll show you where that attaches to. I'm sure you probably got a pretty good idea, but I'll still show you anyway. Those tabs were hard to get off, and the one for the crown, because the paint was pretty well encrusted on there, and I had to take a little nail and scratch the paint off around the corners and only get those tabs loosened up. So, yeah, I mean it wasn't too bad, but you know, I mean, usually nothing ever goes as good for me, and I'm doing this good project. It doesn't go this good for so long. So, yeah, the old wick is just getting a little too short there, so I had to cut it off again, and it's not really working out now. So, I mean, the wick was pretty good when I got it, but it's kind of not. Time for a new one. Keep it until I get the extra parts for it. Now here's the thing that controls every single portion of the lantern in order to light it, the globe lift, everything, and that is the lift lever. Now the globe plate or the holder is attached to these 3 little tabs right here that can pivot. As you can see, they can turn around here completely, which allows the lever to, if the globe's like this, which allows the lever to go down and up and the globe plate still be in place. Unless, of course, there's nothing on there and it's just freely moving, then the thing will move with it. But this thing comes out fairly easy, and I'll show it to you too. Now, I have something that I didn't show you last time, and it was probably the hardest part to find for this lantern. This is a red Air Pilot globe. Now, Air Pilot globes, the problem with Air Pilot globes are hard to find and identify for many reasons. I mean, they're not that hard to find. You can get foreign-made replacements off of Dietz's website, but they don't look right, and the glass is a lot thinner, not as heavier. You won't get the same kind of look if you put it in an old one, because it also has a couple differences on it. The new ones have etched Dietz on them. They have it etched or baked onto there with a white powder coating. These the old Air Pilot globes, as you can see, are unmarked in whatsoever. There's no markings on these things at all. This is all red glass. This is not blasted on there or painted on there or whatever. Now the way I identify this thing is, one, the Air Pilot globe size is completely unique. There's no other lantern that will fit it or that was made in that size. The Air Pilot is the only one ever to use that size. And if I said before, the Air Pilot is a combination of many different lanterns, but the predecessor to the Air Pilot was the D-Light, and the Air Pilot got some modifications to it, and it became, I think, the brightest cold blast lantern that was ever produced by Dietz, and is the only one today still produced in the Art Deco style, which is streamlined, which was started kind of back in the 30s with the Monarch and the D-Light itself. So Dietz kept the D-Light tooling for all those years, and or the streamlined D-Light tooling all those years, and came up with the Air Pilot. And they did keep the old regular D-Light tooling too, which is used to make the number 90 D-Light today. But back to how you identify these things is that, one, you got to measure this thing's height, and that's it. You have to measure this thing's height and the globe openings on the top and the bottom. If they're too big or too small, the globe will not fit. Plus, two, Air Pilot globes have kind of along with their unique size, have a unique look to them. They're not really round. They're more teardrop shaped, if you kind of look at it. They're almost like a teardrop with the top and the bottom cut off. So, very fortunate to find the one that we did. We were the only bidder on it. It's been the latest thing we bought on eBay in nearly 2 or 3 months. Was this lantern globe right here, and the only bidder on it. Luckily, because I've seen these things that they will climb because of how hard it is to find original ones. And while all this was happening, a Air Pilot, I don't know if I mentioned this before, an Air Pilot that was identical to the one I had, was completely restored, everything like that, but it was painted black with a green globe, sold for an amazing $91 on eBay. And I've never seen an Air Pilot get that high. In fact, I've never even seen an Air Pilot get past $50 before. So that tells you that these things are pretty desired. I've seen Bureau of Street Traffic, and I saw Bureau of something else one time. I can't remember what it was. But, anyway, that's all I've seen marked for the Air Pilots. So, and now I'm just going to kind of show you roughly how this lantern goes together. Or how all these parts actually go back together. Get the frame back up here. I got the tabs bent just right, so everything should slip into place very easy. The globe plate, if you see right here, these tabs push right in to, hang on, let me fix the, ooh, it's coming off here, coming off, don't come off, there, can't get it, gets a little off, then it doesn't turn. I know I got the globe handle upside down too. You just push those things in, you just line the tabs up, and push them in, and usually it kind of snaps a little bit because it's tucked under the burner cone. And now usually these tabs will stick up a little farther, but since it's just a rough thing, you can see there, then you bend them back over and the globe lift is held down. Now the globe handle itself fits on like this. There's a little loop right here, which is actually kind of loose. You can see it wobble there. You stick, move the handle out of the way here. You stick the globe lift lever in that hole like this here. Bend the handle in and push it through, push down. There you go. You got your globe lift handle. Now when the globe lift is attached, when the globe plate is attached, it prevents this handle from coming off unless this thing is apart the way it is. So let me take that back off here. Bend that handle out. You all know how the burner and the wick go in. The globe lift goes in. You pretty much just got to get the spring here. If you can watch me do this at the same time, I'll try and hold this. But you just push it up in here. You gotta get the spring in there first. You just get the spring in there first, bend it in, push it up. Now that spring is tucked underneath this little lip right here, and that's where it'll stay. And you just take and push the lantern in and push. Now it's pretty hard to get off at first because I think obviously it hasn't been taken apart forever. But then you see there how the globe lift works. And then in order to keep that, I think the thing might be bending a little small. But in order to keep that from coming apart, then you take and stick the, hang on, you gotta put the crown on a certain way. The holes are marked, the holes are in a certain way. No. Then you take and put the globe on, or the crown on a certain way. Push it down. Oh, come on. Obviously don't have, there's obviously a tab bent somewhere or something like that. Hang on, I'm trying here. But then when you get the globe crown, or the crown on, obviously this will go on a little better, but this is just for rough things. When you get that on there, all of a sudden it sits down and it prevents this globe from going anywhere. And it prevents the globe lift from going anywhere, as you can see. It also, too, that little round lip inside there also keeps it from going down. Now, when this globe is sitting in the lantern, I've had it roughly put back together completely. The globe sits up right about here, so that's no big deal. But like I said, though, we're gonna just take and pull that out of there. I'm not gonna take the spring off just for how difficult it was to get back on. Now, like I said, we're going to prime this thing up, paint it yellow, and should be done with the restoration. That should be the biggest restoration I've ever done so far. So I'll also show you, too, how the globe fits in the globe plate here. I know you know how it looks like, but just to show you what the shape is. But you see here, it fits in here, like so. Now, there's no lock knobs on this thing. You can see the globe thing is made for lock knobs, but those will never be used. It's just something left from the old globes of back then, or on the other lantern models. One thing is take the globe thing here and set it on top there, and then that's how the globe will look when it's in the lantern. Well, when it's in the partially assembled one. So I think you have your burner sticking out through the top, and then fire in the hole. But that's it for the air pilot. I mean, everything's coming together pretty well. The hardest thing was found. The only part I need to get is a replacement fuel cap for it, and that will be very easy to get. And I also will get a couple other things for some of my other lanterns, and that will be it for the air pilot. Oh, forgot to mention too, I also managed to keep the air pilot burner knob from scraping the metal. I just took and I bent the part where the burner sat up a little bit, and it solved the problem. So made me think that it was pushed down a little too far. But anyway, that's it for the Dietz Air Pilot. It's coming along pretty good, and it should be done either this weekend or in the following week. So it's still in the works, but we've got more than halfway there, and it should be done very soon. But this is all for me today, and I will put a video on as soon as I can when this lantern is finished or near finished. So that's it for now, and I will be more on this lantern here very soon. 1223 out.